Good morning, Jay. Hi, Reverend Seth here, and I'm so glad that you have joined us this morning as we continue to train ourselves in godliness. And the passage that we're going to be talking about this morning in the Bible is actually one of my favorites, especially since I was a little kid. It was actually a Bible verse that I had on my wall in my bedroom over a picture of a knight destroying a dragon, a darkened dragon. And it was kind of the merging of my two loves, both fantasy and knights and the Bible. And so we're going to jump into Ephesians chapter 6, and it's finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Really just want to dive into this great passage where Paul is encouraging us to really just to be warriors, to be ready. And that brings me to my first point. Training takes work. Training takes work. You'll notice that throughout this entire passage, Paul encourages us with active verbs. He says, be strong, put on the full armor, take your stand, stand firm then, buckle on the belt of truth, take up the shield of faith. You see, being a Christian can't be something passive where we just sit back and kind of respond to the world around us. We have to get out there and fight. We have to be ready. We have to be strong. We have to be proactive. And it's kind of this image of someone rolling out of bed, and so that they're ready for the day, they're equipping themselves. I imagine back during the medieval ages, a knight getting ready for the day's work. You know how today a businessman might put on a business suit. Well, back then, the knights, they put on their business suit, right? They buckled on their armor. They buckled on their shield and their sword, and they brought that ready because they had to get ready for the day. But how many Christians do that in the morning? How many Christians get ready and prepare themselves and do the work that it takes so they're ready for the battle? I think that's where a lot of Christians shrink. They think they can respond in the moment. And my 6th and 7th graders, if I teach you one thing from this message, I would love for you to understand that being a Christian is going to take work. You have to put in the effort to get out. You have to train if you're going to have godliness in your life. And if you're going to reap, remember our memory verse for this series, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 18, where it says that training the body is good, but training for godliness is better because it reaps rewards in this life and the next. If we're going to reap the rewards that this life has for us, we have to be willing to put in the work. Point number 2, the enemy is hidden. Notice in the Bible how he says put on the armor, right? Get ready to stand firm, because your battle is not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and powers in this world. You know, if all we had to deal with was a big bully, it might be easier for us to win. Right? Because then we could prepare, we'd know what to do. But unfortunately, our enemy is hidden, and if we don't understand that, and if we don't realize that, that enemy can take us by surprise. Let's take depression, for example. Feeling lonely, for example. That can kind of just creep up on you. It's not like a bully that you're going to see the moment you step outside your door. You just wake up and it's on you. And so it's more difficult to fight things that you can't see, right? So we have to be able to understand that so that we train up and we're ready to battle for the day. That's how you take on these unseen enemies. And that brings me to the final point of this message that I'm pulling out. There's so much good in this Bible verse, and I could dive into the pieces of the armor, but we're training. We're training for godliness. And it's important for us to approach the training in the right way. All right? So we have to be willing to put in the work. And then we have to realize that our enemy often is unseen. It's a hidden enemy. Point number 3 is get ready ahead of time. Right? This night, this soldier wakes up in the morning and puts on his armor. We have to get ready ahead of time, not when the battle's already going. You never see a football player go out onto the field without his guards, without his helmet, and without his uniform. He doesn't go out there in boxer briefs and a t-shirt and hope to play football to the best of his ability. No, he'd get creamed. He wouldn't be able to compete on the field the same way that a footballer with shoulder pads and with a helmet would be able to. The same thing is true for us. We have to get ready ahead of time. You should be waking up in the morning and asking God to help you, to prepare you for the day, to reset your mind. You should be getting in your mind the Word of God so that you can stand firm in it throughout the day. It says to put on the armor, to stand up, put on that breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, pick up your shield of faith. Get yourself into peak position. That's how you're going to succeed. If we're going to train, we have to get ready ahead of time. We have to be proactive. You know the story of the ant. The ant who prepares during the summer for winter so that then they're ready. And you know what? It goes back to point number 1. A lot of us don't want to put in that work. We think we can skate through the day, and there might be some days that you can get by without preparing. But how many of you know on those days where you have a pop quiz and you get in there and you didn't know about it and you just get taken by surprise and it kind of just ruins your whole day? Well, the same thing. We never know when our pop quiz is coming. So we need, if we're going to train in godliness, we're going to reap those rewards, which I believe we all want. And I believe that since you listen to this video, you want to train up. And so get ready ahead of time. Jay, I hope this message has been a blessing for you. We love you. We believe that God is going to change your life this week. Lean into Him. All right, we'll see you.